If you haven't already, please check out the live that I did some time ago on the 5 different types of power. This is a continuation of that, where I want to focus in on the building capacity part of moving in the supernatural. There's some things that you find difficult, or in some cases, impossible, simply because you lack the capacity necessary to produce a certain result. So in some cases, it's due to a lack of capacity when it comes to your faith. So when it comes building capacity across the board, it comes with pressing your limits, moving past and breaking your limits. My anime fans, you think of someone like Saitama, who through a regular regimen ended up breaking the limits of his physical body to move in supernatural graces. You think of other people like Goku, who's known for breaking their limits and moving on to more. That's the same posture that it takes to move in the supernatural. That you have to actually break your limits. You have to find the extent of your faith, the extent of your love, the extent of your honor, the extent of your desire, and you move past it. Most of us don't do because we don't think it's possible. There's something that happens in species across the board where something is genetically impossible until one does it. They did an experiment where they took some fleas and they put them in a cup, they put them in a jar, and the fleas only jumped as high as the jar. And they raised them a few generations of fleas in the same jar. So even though they had the capacity to jump out of the jar, once those few generations were kept in, they could take the jar off and they would only jump as high as the jar used to be. What it takes is someone to break over the invisible barrier and actually go and do the impossible. And that's something that happens within us. There's things that I didn't think was possible to be done that I now do regularly. There was a time where I thought that healing the sick, curing cancer, getting rid of, helping people who had STDs get free of those. There was a time where I thought that was impossible. If you have that, that's it for you. There's nothing I got. Now that's easy. There was a time when I would have thought dead raising was impossible. I've currently done 9 successfully. I want to do 10. I want to do 20. I want to do so many that it's normal again. I'm after graveyards, not individuals. Catch my hunger. But what that takes is me confronting the areas of my soul where the barrier of faith isn't there, where I actually don't believe I can yet. So something that I've been doing for years is while in the spirit realm, when I'm in my time with the Father, spending time in his mind, his vastness provokes my finite mind into more. So by spending time in his mind, he actually begins to encourage me to think bigger. His limitlessness confronts my limited thinking. Even when dealing with mother, when I'm with Holy Spirit, her compassion for everyone actually broke my lack of compassion in a certain phase. I care more now than I did then because of more interactions with a depth of love that moved beyond what I was capable of at a time. His mind and her heart actually broke my mind and my heart. So part of breaking past your capacity is being under something and gleaming from something that is moving in a higher capacity than you. So that's also one of the graces, one of the benefits of having a leader, having a spiritual covering is not just it's not the accountability thing that a lot of Christians try to make it about. No, but it's about having someone above you who's moving in more than you that can actually provoke you into moving into greater. It's hard to be a leader and you have nothing that people want. That means now, in order to keep people working with you, working for you, working under you, you have to keep them by fear, not by virtue. So, one of the graces and one of the easiest ways to increase your capacity is to be under a leader that's moving in things you don't have yet, moving in dimensions or moving in levels of things that you haven't reached yet. Maybe you do heal, just not that good yet. Maybe you do prophesy already, just not that good. Maybe you have raised the dead, just not that many. Maybe you do hear from God, just not that often. But being around a leader who's hearing all the time, seeing all the time, healing more than you, healing greater than what you've healed, so on and so forth, is a way to stretch your capacity because you're connected with another person in your lifetime, in your space, that's moving in an advertisement of a possibility for you. So finding you a leader that provokes you, that stirs you, that awakens something in you, that actually the umbrella of them actually prophesies to the dead faith within you and provokes an inner resurrection of possibilities. That's the importance of a spiritual covering. It's not just someone to put limits on you as to how far you're allowed to go, but no, someone who's able to take the limiter off of you and even provoke you to attempt to surpass them. Looking for someone that's more dominant in the spirit than you, not to subdue you, not to give your work away, but to find grace in your work. See, something that happens when you have a leader above you that's actually moving in something is that the grace that's on them trickles down onto you. It's the only trickle down economics that work. Is that if the leader actually has it, all of their followers actually carry a degree of it. That's why there's certain communities that while you're in it, you heal a lot easier. You prophesy a lot easier. It's because the leader actually has it. The number one way to know that you're dealing with a fake is that if the leader has it and no one under them has it, and you're talking about people who've been dedicated to them for years and the years people don't have it, you're dealing with someone that doesn't have it themselves. They're lying to you. Just in the few months since I've had Cave of Mystery Academy, I already have people who are having spontaneous interactions with Holy Spirit where mother's showing up and terrifying them just through the pure bliss and wonder of a direct experience. I'm having people hearing God for the first time and having to navigate it. People healing for the first time, casting out demons for the first time, because that's stuff I actually walk in, have been for a decade. Even in building that capacity comes through the things that you actually attempt to do. It's one thing to believe that it can be done. It's another for you to believe that you can do it. And it's another thing for you to actually try. When's the last time that you tried to heal someone with cancer? When's the last time that you tried to pull someone out of a wheelchair and give them their ability to walk again? When's the last time you saw someone walking with a cane and asked them, hey, do you actually want that? When's the last time you actually tried to present the realities of heaven into the world? Because it's in those attempts that you actually begin to break what's normal for you. You actually build a new normal by breaking the old normal. In order for you to move into the new, you actually end up having to disrespect the current and the past. And those are the things that actually end up fighting you. The covenants of the current dimension actually fight you from moving away from their dimension. Again, certain slander, certain rejection is not personal, it's dimensional. You're moving out of a field of their understanding and they don't understand you. This in First John, in the first chapter of John, it says, the light came into the darkness and the darkness perceived it not. If you move out of darkness into a greater degree of light, why should the previous dimension of light/darkness understand you? You're worshiping your ability to be understood and accepted more than your capacity to be a greater light. The misunderstandings are really proof of the light that you're becoming. Let yourself be more, be a brighter light. Getting over rejection. Yes, rejection happens. It happens to us all. It's supposed to happen. It's what you do with rejection. Do you let it dim you or do you use it as a reason to grow brighter? These are the things that build capacity. You reach the extent of what you can do and make yourself do more. When I was in the military, that was part of our conditioning, is that you exercise until you can't anymore, and then you do some more. You run until you can't anymore, and then you go a little further. You do push-ups until your body starts to fail, and then you do a few more sit-ups and planks until you can't do it anymore. I applied the same logic I was working out that hard as a martial artist. When I became a mystic, I applied the same discipline that if I'm spending about 8 hours a day training already, I could just switch that into spiritual progress. So now I'm praying for 8 hours a day. I go into prayer and I sit in the presence until I pass out, until the capacity of God overwhelms me, until I can't take it anymore. And I faint because I'm completely overwhelmed. And then when I would come back into consciousness, I'd come to, I'd crawl out of my prayer closet and then crawl back in. I'd crawl out, catch my breath, and then go back in for another dose. This didn't come easily. It came again due to hunger, but that was how I broke my capacity. I spent time with God to the extent that I could handle them. I spent time with Holy Spirit every time I wanted her to overwhelm me. And it was a greater degree. So when I started working with other ministers, they lay hands on me. It doesn't overwhelm me, even though I feel the energy, because the capacity they're releasing doesn't match what I'm in every day. So it was almost a challenge that I was putting myself in, or actually challenging the royal family on at a certain point where I'm like, oh, as amazing as yesterday was, I need something better than yesterday. I wanted encounters that scared me. There was a time where the Father pulled me into his dimension and terrified me. I was excited because I reached a limit. I said, finally, the Father has shown me a part of himself that I wasn't ready for. Now I have a goal. Eventually, I got to that, and the Father was able to introduce me to that dimension of him last year. Several years gap in between that. It was like a 4-year gap between the Father saying, let me show you something, and me not being able to handle it, to me now being a master in it. When's the last time that you let Holy Spirit overwhelm you? When's the last time you let the Father completely bewilder you? See, on an educational field, we like to keep things on the level of our understanding. That's not always good. Even when it comes to teaching, you need a teacher that knows more than you so that the essence of their wisdom can provoke your mind into greater. Yeah. These are things that are necessary. This is how you build a greater capacity in the spirit. This is how you handle more. This is how you do more, is by being under more, surrendering to more, allowing more, accepting more. Don't set the limits at your current capacity and say, this is all that I can handle, because that'll be all that you ever get. Acknowledge, this is where I'm at right now. I want to be double this tomorrow. Let your hunger bring you into more experiences, into more dimensions, into more realms. And that I speak over you. Because even in that, there's fear. So you have to reach the edge of your fear every day, as often as you can. How much of God can I handle until I'm too afraid to handle anymore? You need to find that every day. When's the last time you were with Holy Spirit and she scared you? When's the last time you were with the Father and he scared you a little bit, just because he revealed something more than what you can handle? Just a little bit more. When's the last time you were with Yeshua and he presented a higher dimension of himself and it freaked you out a little bit? See, their willingness to meet us on our level isn't a revelation of their capacity, it's a revelation of their compassion. There comes a point where your hunger has to be a shield enough for you to say, you know, whatever it is, I want to see it. Give me as much as I can handle and give me a little bit more. This is how you grow. This is actually how you grow fast. Getting over the fear, getting over the anxiety, and letting them expand you through power, authority, character, and wisdom. Letting them expand your faith, your honor, your desire, and your capacity for love. It's all those things. Limits need to be broken. So my prayer for you is that you allow your limits to break over and over and over again, that we move into a generation of titans, this nameless, faceless generation that people have been prophesying for. This generation where everyone is of a higher spiritual stature and this stuff becomes normal again, where we no longer see some of the saints of old as top tiers. Right. So with that, I leave you. Y'all be blessed. Again, if you want to connect with me and all the other projects I have going on, whether that's courses, classes, books, and the like, everything about me and what I do can be found on my website, caveofmystery.org. And that's all I have for y'all today. Please consider joining Patreon. That's where you'll find a bunch of teachings better than this. And that's it. Y'all be blessed. Later.